Dwayne Campbell. I'm the CIO for the city of Fayetteville. And I have the pleasure of actually co-presenting with Ms. Willie Johnson, who's responsible, she's the CRM, Customer Relationship Manager in the city of Fayetteville. And she's responsible for this title, Mind Your IT Bedside Manners. I left my stethoscope and my blood pressure cuff in the hotel next door, but maybe I can take their blood pressure. I'll be more than happy to do that. She's responsible for putting this deck together, so I want to thank her for that. And the way we set this up, pretty much with, and everybody will get a copy of the PowerPoint. So the way we set it up, you can really get a lot of the content from the deck. So what I want to do is share, like we have a session, or we'll have a theme, if you will, and I like to share stories that we have around teamwork or some of the soft skills, but I also want to hear, I think it's a valuable tool to learn from each other. So I want to hear your stories as well. So while we have a deck, really what I want to do today is have a conversation, if that's okay with you. All right? Okay, so we have the PowerPoint deck, but we're going to have a conversation. So just know that we're going to have a conversation. So, how many of you all go to the doctor at least for a wellness visit, since we have so many males in here? We typically don't like to go to the doctor, that's something, but at least for a wellness visit. I mean, okay. So to the ladies, I have a question for you. When you took your kids, your children, to the doctor, I can lay back in one mom to leave the doctor. How has it changed when you went to the doctor, you took your kids to the doctor, let's say 20 plus years ago, whatever the case may be, to now, when you go to the doctor yourself? What's the relationship? How different is the relationship? Anybody? Anybody got kids? Okay, let's start there. So, Felina, how is the relationship? Well, your kids are fairly young. Your son is fairly young. So, who else have kids?
It seems like doctors are much more authoritative back when I was a kid.
Exactly. Okay, much more authoritative. What else? Yes.
I'll ask a lot more questions about my kids.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
You don't have the personable relationship that you had years ago. I mean, for instance, when I was young, that doctor was my doctor, my sister's doctors, my parents' doctor, whatever. And now it's more like you're in and out. It's how many people can we get through in a day? Scheduling 15-minute appointments. They're just not real personable.
All right. And how does that make you feel when you know that there's a 12 to 15-minute allotment, and my wife is a physician extender, so she deals with nephrology patients, and she sees patients in the hospital, and she may say, yeah, my census today is 31. And I'm like, okay, how are you going to see 31 patients in that period of time, especially when you're talking about the kidneys and all the things that goes with that, but with the new laws and so forth, she's like, that's what we have to do. But how does that make you feel? Like you're a number, okay? All right? So you said it's changed. So early on for me, I can remember going to the doctor. It was like when we went to the doctor, and this was, let's say, 30 years ago. Whatever the doctor told you to do, is pretty much you did it. You didn't really ask a lot of questions. Whereas now, my doctor asked me to, Dwayne, can you email me, like for your wellness visits, can you email me your questions ahead of time? Because I have so many questions, or like if she said, hey, you may think about this medication, it's like you think about this medication and so forth, what are you going to do? I mean, I'm asking questions about side effects and all this other stuff. I'm looking things up on WebMD. We have a lot more knowledge, but because the way she engages me, even though I seem to have to, if my appointment's at 10 o'clock and I'm not seeing at 10:45, I may be okay with that because of the level of engagement. So that's what I think has changed to me, is that now it's more of a relationship versus, I think you used the word authoritative. It's just, take this, do this, call me tomorrow. And now it's more, let's build this relationship. And that's what we're looking for here when we talk about your bedside manners. I don't necessarily care, to be quite honest with you, if my surgeon, if I have some sort of surgery, if my surgeon has bedside manners or not. But relationship with that particular person. So that's when we talk about mind your IT bedside manners, I always like to start with what's in it for you, okay? So why should you mind your IT bedside manners? What's in it for you? Why go through that hassle? What is it that you can get out of this by minding your bedside manners? What are you going to get?
Better communication, better understanding.
Better communication, better understanding from your customers, okay? What else? Buy-in, exactly. Happier customers, so you're building that relationship. So when things go well, you know, they'll be the first to say that, you know, like, hey, great job. But also when things go south, there's an opportunity there that your customers can save you too, right? And I also like to now individualize this. So to me, what I want you to take away is, how do you stop, and that's one of the things we almost put up there, was how do you stop from committing professional suicide? Because being technically sharp, and I have worked with people who were out of this world from a technical standpoint sharp, but I'm telling you, they would just tick off every customer that they pretty much came in contact with because they had that air about them, you know, you're an idiot, and I know more than you, therefore I'm better than you, you know? And if you come up with that kind of air, people, when they have the opportunity to help you and save you, they won't. So one of the things I want you to take away from today is using some of the things that we're going to talk about to prevent from committing professional suicide. So let's, again, get into some of the themes here. Okay, so we have about 7 different areas. Hopefully we'll be able to cover all of those. We have communication and presentation, being a team player, positive attitude, problem solving, customer service know-how, planning organization, leadership, and mentoring. These are not things that you haven't heard before, right? So that's why I said let's have a conversation. And the way Ms. Johnson set this up was she really made it whereby you can take the PowerPoint and still derive meaning from it without necessarily me or her talking on the spot. Therefore, now that you can take that away, that's the reason why we can have a conversation, okay? So, we talk about communication and presentation. Why, I mean, some of these things are pretty obvious, okay? Why is it important to, in the IT world, in the IT arena, to have good communication and presentation skills?
Because they don't understand the challenge, you're not going to deliver what they're
Okay, delivering, so better understanding your clients so you can deliver what they're looking for. What else? Why else is it important to have good communication skills and presentation skills?
Help address fear.
Help address fear. Okay, talk a little bit more about that.
Fear of change. If you're working through a major project, if you're trying to change your processes,
Okay.
good communication helps that go more smoothly, allows people to ask questions without maybe fear of rejection or allow them to ask in the first place.
Okay. So we're in the technology arena, but what other arena are
To
we
be on
in?
the same page,
Okay.
everyone is on the same page with communication,
Okay.
giving these transparent help.
Okay.
And say one person is communicating with a client and not sharing that with the team. They want to use what the customer is expecting them to use.
Okay.
So having everyone on the same page helps.
Okay. On the same page and speaking the same language.
Same language.
Exactly, speaking the same language. How about the presentation aspect of that? That's one of the, when we do this presentation, sometimes a lot of people focus on the communication, but really, I want you to focus on the presentation. I like to focus on the presentation aspect of it. And you're nodding your head, so why would you say?
Because if you can't explain what you've given to your clients, you wasted your time.
Exactly.
You built the greatest model in the world, but if you can't explain it for them things that they can understand and use it.
Absolutely. Exactly. So just like, you know, I tore my Achilles probably, I think it was in 2008. So I was out there playing a pickup game of basketball, tore my Achilles, and immediately, you know, after I hobbled to the bench, I was like, okay, WebMD, started doing some searching, and I knew exactly what was going on. I was in Virginia at the time, I had to drive back to Charlotte. It was one of those things where, I called in, and I was like, okay, this is what's happening. I did the Thompson test, it's not doing this, so I toured on a Sunday, and that Tuesday I was in surgery. But, I was speaking that same language. Another thing I want to say is that mystery in the medicine world, in the medical world is gone, right? Because of so many resources. The same thing in the IT arena. Now, our customers a lot of times don't understand scale. I get that. But they go home and they do things that used to be behind the curtains in IT. So they have an expectation when they deal with Amazon or when they deal with these online or the energy company, whatever the case may be, they have an expectation of paying bills online, getting updates online. I get, and it's kind of disturbing to me because my energy bill now, it says, this is how you're doing versus the most efficient home in your neighborhood versus the highest home. When we started off, when my 18-year-old was at home, I was always above the line. Now that he's not at home, I'm more in line with that energy efficient home, so I'm tripping that directly to him. But there were things that caused me to look at, right? I started looking at, okay, am I leaving there's lights on? So it changed my behavior, right? So the question is, the conversation then turns into, yes, we're in the technology arena. Yes, we can no longer hide behind the curtain. So now we have to be more marketers, right? We have to be able to sell what it is that we are presenting. And a lot of times we don't do a good job of that because we want to go in and we want to wow the senior management team, or the executive team, I should say, the city manager, deputy city managers, with our technical jargon, or the council members with our technical jargon. And really, they could care less. All they want to know is this going to make one of these 6 strategic initiatives succeed or fail? So we have to begin to talk in their language. And to the degree that we can do this better, we can talk in their language. Again, show that you can listen and consider the views of others, tailor your communication to them. That's the key right there. Tailoring our communication to our audience. How do we do that? So when you look at, so you got to know, there again, I always like to say it's called the whiffing. What's in it for me? So anytime I'm speaking or anytime I'm presenting, I always try to find what is it that they want. And then I use what I'm trying to sell to help them say, without this, you cannot get what you want. So now we're talking the same language and I'm tailoring my conversation to them. That's another value there. Does that make sense? Okay?
Just add a little bit to that, but I'm talking about communication skills on the fact that we have to talk to them in layman's terms, because sometimes we're all techies and everybody don't understand our language, so we have to kind of break it down to them in layman's terms and make them understand what we're talking about. We don't want to go to the city manager's office and say, oh, he tells you he's having a problem with his machine is slowing down, he has rats on his computer, we don't know he don't know what that means, but we got to break it down to them and tell them what it really means, so we can kind of be on the same playing field.
Questions as it relates to, like I said, some of these are pretty, well, all of these are going to be obvious, but I would like to use examples as it relates to how we can prevent from committing professional suicide and also build a better rapport with our customer base. Any other examples that anyone would like to share as it relates to communication and presentation skills as a valued resource or as a valued asset? Okay, we move on. Teamwork. Now, how many of you all now deal with work, so the work that you do is solely individualized? Even the school systems, and Maurice can probably speak to this, has changed their philosophy as it relates to, I know when I was coming up, it seemed like we did a lot of individual work. And towards the end of my college career, definitely in my MBA career, we did a lot more team work activities. But I look at my kids, my sons, and a lot of their work is team-oriented, group-oriented. And the teachers now even have, because you always have those groups, we've all been a part of those groups where you only have 1 or 2 people that really carry the load. So it's interesting now that the teachers have come up with ways to grade group work, but individual effort. and they're getting better and better at that, so that a kid doesn't get on a bad team, and his grade just totally drops because of that. Now, it's gonna tank a little bit, but not as much as it used to, because they made some changes. But if you don't have the ability to work in a team environment, or you consider that Lone Ranger, you get ostracized pretty quickly. And those opportunities for new projects that come up and so forth, you wonder why you didn't hear about it to the last minute, if at all. But there's a reason for that. It's because a lot of times you may not be that team player. You may be that person that goes in and they want all the credit, right? Or they go in and it's always about what I can do, what I can do. You're like, my God, you got to be a Renaissance man, because you can do everything. You know, I'm sure, I have a couple of my organizations. So I have, I should even looked over that, Tracy, when I said it. I totally forgot what I was going to say. But I have a couple of my organizations. However, I'm sure some of you all do too, right? And those individuals, I mean, you really work with them when you have to, right? So now, nobody likes to think of themselves that way, but if you really did like a quick reflection, do you think anybody feel that way about you? That you are the Lone Ranger, and that you're the one, even you may be the manager, but you're the one that's not being asked to come to the table to the last minute? Maybe not with your staff, how about with your peers? When you're finding out, do you find out about projects on the front end, or do your clients like to tell you about it after they have all their ducks in a row? Now, I'm not wanting to offend anyone here, but we all have to deal with the public safety group, right? And we know they like to do things their own way. So some groups gonna always, no matter what you do, they're gonna always call you to the table late. But for the most part, is your department that last? Let's look at it that way then. Maybe no one individualize it too much. Is your department that department that they call to the table at the last minute? Or from an IT perspective, is the IT department one of the first that they call in order to get that strategic direction early on? How does it play out in Greensboro? You're in Greensboro, right? Well, okay, not the city of Greensboro. Excuse me, Guilford County. How is it different? Is the IT department looked at from a strategic standpoint? Do they invite your customers, invite you to other departments, invite you to the table early on, or do you find yourself being part of the last minute when the vendors are already here, or they already have things in a row, so it's making it very difficult for you to say no or yes, or whatever the case may be?
Well, over the course of the last couple of years, we have been invited in planning stages.
Okay.
And I think we contribute that part to, we have an ITAC committee. And before the budget process starts, certain projects are vetted for this committee. And the committee ranks the projects in different terms and based on a ranking system. And from that standpoint, if that project's approved, then we start looking at the planning phases for the next fiscal year if it's funded.
Right.
It depends on the budget for that fiscal year for the non-projects over 10,000.
Okay. Right.
So we're pretty much from the ground up.
Good.
It's actually really project.
So you put a process in place. So what I'm hearing you say is that you put a process in place that basically encourages teamwork on the front end.
Yeah.
Right. We do a very similar thing in Fayetteville. It's our technology improvement plan. Matter of fact, Ulysses heads up our technology improvement plan for the city, and it's a very similar concept. I think it is $10,000, but we try not to focus so much on the money as much as the collaboration and making sure that we get everyone to the table. And now we're tying that into a whole governance process as well, which is going to take that even further. So, Felina, you had your hand up, and then you were shaking your head, so you may have a comment too. All right.
Two comments. Actually, we just started the exact same process that Gifford County just started. They're starting with the planning process where you have to, the projects are planned out and there's a scale of the project now. But the one thing I want to say before that is being called to the table at the beginning goes back to the communication and building that relationship too. If they feel comfortable enough with you, they feel like, that they could work with you and like you work with them as a team, that's why they would call you. So that's why it's important to try to build that relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I'm with Wake County
Wake County,
government, and I actually work for the solution development group.
Okay.
So we're a group of project managers, and basically what we do is, if there's a problem within the county, if someone needs a solution, whether it be technical, non-technical, they come to us. So they know that we're gonna listen to them and really figure out what it is their need is, and then go off and find the best solution, whether it be, something that we have internal, leverage existing solutions, or go out and do the research for them and figure out what the best tool is for their problem. So,
Yes.
I work for Bedford County as well in code enforcement.
Okay.
And we have a, technology integration team that meets every other Monday, and it's actually for our, land use environmental services. So our entire building is not just code enforcement,
Yeah.
but it's bringing the team of teams actually together. And as enhancement requests are coming in, it's not just how it's affecting the user that's requesting it, or requesting it, but it's how it's affecting all the agencies.
Okay. The other reason why whenever I'm asked to present, I like to present because I always learn. I think I learn more from the audience than I impart. So, and you never miss an opportunity to build a relationship or make things better in your own arena. So one of the things I'm going to take the liberty of doing is asking for you and Ulysses to get together, because Ulysses is the CRM for Louisa in Fayetteville, and maybe there's some things that we can learn about that process, because we just moved forward with City Works, and we're having some issues there. So there may be some things that we can do. So what's your name?
Sarah Fisher.
Sarah. So that's Ulysses Crawford in the corner over there. So maybe you guys can get together and we can learn some things from you. Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate that. The next thing from a value standpoint is a positive attitude. And one of the things I didn't tell you is that Ms. Johnson is, the last 5 years has worked in the HR arena as well. So one of the things I'm going to do is ask her to talk about some of the benefits, if you will, of positive attitude and how you can kind of get the benefit of the doubt when things go south sometimes. And she's going to bring this from an HR perspective. So Ms. Johnson. Now I'll pepper in a comment too.
Basically, when you're in a technical job or any job, you really are not going to get a whole lot out of it if you don't do more than what your job description describes. You got to do more. You got to go above and beyond. And I started out my career, I started when I was 9 years old. I started out with IBM, and I worked there for 25 years. When I first started with them, I was in an administrative role. So I took it upon myself and I took some initiative to learn some technical skills, and I took on a project and some other tasks to help make things better within the department. I took on the responsibility to train some other administrative staff on using what we call then, whether you all know about the IBM 5520, was an old IBM word processing type document system. So I trained a lot of the staff on that tool, on that application and that system. And from there, I moved into a more technical role. I became a Bedside support specialist, and then moved to the team lead position and the management position. Managing that team. So it took more than just my technical skills to get there, I think. I did train myself in some of the technical arenas, but to get there, I had to kind of build my technical skills as well as my soft skills. So with my leadership skills, my positive attitude, things like that, it really helped me move into those positions. And then after leaving IBM, after 25 years, I worked at the Department of Social Services in Cumberland County as a human resource manager. So of course with that, you deal with all different kinds of employees and all different types of attitudes and trying to help them with their situations. And you always get those complaints. So you try to have to deal with the employees and make them happy and take care of their problems. There was one speaker that I listened to a long time ago, and he's since passed away. I don't know whether you all have heard of him, but he was a very renowned, motivated speaker called Keith Carroll. And he passed away in 2010, and IBM used to get him to come to speak at different meetings and other Fortune 500 companies as well. And he was known as Mr. Attitude or Mr., the term he always said when someone came to him, asked him how he was doing, super fantastic. So he was known as Mr. Super Fantastic. So that's always what he would use when people come to him. And when Penn went in 2010, once he was diagnosed with cancer, he only lived 6 months after he was diagnosed. So he was very positive to that whole thing. So his attitude helped him get through that as well, his family, and all the things that they've done to continue to build on his career. He actually still has his company, his sister is running his company now, and they do presentations throughout. So with that, I just, with HR and being a technical person, you don't always just have to have the technical skills, because if it's always equal, then the soft skills are going to win out. So you got to really have those soft skills to go along with it as well.
So what I heard Willie say is that outside of the soft skills or smile, healthcare needs to go. So one of the other things that I had the good fortune, when I started out, my first job out of college was at Microsoft in Charlotte. And it was like an extension of college. It was just one big party. It seemed like you were learning a lot, but it seemed like it was just a big party because the company was in the early stages, like in 1991. Yeah, 91. So, but I had the opportunity to spend about 2.5 hours with Bill Gates. And everybody kept asking, but Dwayne, you're not the most technical person in the world, so how did you get, to meet me, get to be the one chosen for PSSE, which is Product Support Services East, which is in Charlotte, to be that representative to give Bill Gates the tour around the city, around the complex. And what I came up with, because I knew I wasn't like the most technical person, that just wasn't my forte. I mean, it is what it is, right? So I came up with a positive, it was called PAT, it was a positive action team. And we would go around and we would make it, the workplace, a better environment. We would look for opportunities to enhance the work culture. That's what we did. So we sent in our ideas. People were talking about Windows 3.0 enhancements, the 3.1, and all this other technical stuff that they were looking at. I sent in my positive action team write up, and it piqued his interest. He was like, "What's that? And how did it come about? And what does it do?" But early on, he saw the value of enhancing the coaches. I'm always going to be able to find smart people. That's what he told me. He said, I'm always going to be able to find the best of the best, the smartest people. He says, but I need those individuals who not only can have a positive attitude, but have the ability to help others have a positive attitude as well. Make the workplace a better situation for somebody else. And so sometimes when we were on the calls for 7 or 8 hours, what we would do is we would say, okay, we're going to work an hour late because we're going to take an hour, and we got free soft drinks and all that other good stuff, right? So we knew what each person would like to drink. So we would, take a cart around, drinks, and just pass out drinks while that person's on a call or whatever, so they didn't have to take a break, go get a call, to go get something to drink, and then have to, because you're going to have to do 7.5 hours, no matter how long it takes, you're going to have to do 7.5 hours. So that was helping people be able to do that 7.5 hours quicker, which would mean they could go home quicker, things of that nature. So we said, yes, we don't mind taking that extra hour to enhance the overall culture of already stressful situations, especially when we had major rollouts like 3.0, 3.1, and things of that nature. So that's some of the things that we did. But the important part is that Bill Gates saw the value in having a positive attitude, and not just you having it, but projecting it out on someone else. Is there someone in your organization that you can think of, maybe it's you, that person is when you see them, even if things are maybe a little bit south, they have the ability to just turn that lemon into lemonade, and they just have a very, not that the sky is always blue type philosophy, but just they're very real with their expectations, and they're like, yeah, things may not be going as well as they could, but it's not as bad as it could be as well. And they just keep things moving. They say, we got to keep it moving. Those are the people that, I look for growth opportunities. Those are the people that I look for to associate myself with. Like Willie's only been with the organization for 6 months, right? And when I was asked to speak, we were talking about it one day, and her enthusiasm, her passion, she said, she just started throwing out some ideas, and I said, hey, let's co-present. So, but for her having just a positive attitude about, and then she took it and ran with it, which I loved it as well. less work for me. But her positive attitude, can-do spirit, was the one that, throw us out there, So, but her positive attitude was contagious, and actually, it's been very positive throughout the organization, whereby, she sends out to our customers, hey, this is how many tickets you have open. Because the whole point of the CRM is to make it easy to do business with IT. That's really the thing in a nutshell. I want to be able to be easy to do business with IT. If you don't know where to go, who to call, you call the CRMs and you can start there and then we move it forward. So we take that out of the way. I don't know who to call or they're calling me or whatever the case may be. So I'm trying to eliminate some of that as well. But her attitude and professionalism has really been contagious in setting the bar so that when other departments are dealing with us now, they don't really come with a lot of the, I'll say shenanigans, if you will, because they know that she's prepared, she's going to have the documentation. Both of us, they're going to have the documentation. So when they come to us in a very professional way. But it's not in a way that we're saying a gotcha as much as we're saying, hey, this is the bar that we're setting for the organization. We're going to carry ourselves in a positive manner. We're not going to be that department of no, right? Some IT departments are considered a department of no, right, Glenn? So you have to work your way to yes. So we don't do that. So that's part of our goal, is being positive when we look at, when they bring us projects or opportunities, as I like to say, when they bring us those things, we're not saying, yes, no, we can't do that. Oh my God, that's against policy. We're like, okay, how do we work our way to a yes? Now, I will tell you that not everybody in my organization has that attitude. We've got some work to do. And unfortunately, it's at my client services level. That's where I really got to build up that base where it becomes more, how do we work our way to yes versus a gotcha. It's almost like you're trying to find a customer that's doing something wrong and gotcha. Why do that? And it's just, you can't win. They're the customer, you can't win that battle, so to speak. So why not, help them and work your way to yes? Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes that yes may not be exactly what they asked for. It could be, sometimes I've had to tell my customer, it may not be exactly what you've asked for, but let's figure out how we can do it. What's another way to do what you want? Tell me exactly what you want and we'll work together to figure out how we can do it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I remember Melissa, she stood Laserfish in the organization as well as, Reynolds. So, do you have an example? Do you have an example that you would like to share as it relates to Granicus? Like what Kalina said, how sometimes what the customer is asking for and they're asking for one thing, but is it really what they want? And how do you say it's not what they want and give them what you think they need, but making them think it's their idea? Yes.
I think to bridge that gap, that's where we need to start showing demos and other alternatives, because sometimes, even though a customer is asking you for a specific technology, a lot of times they really don't know what they want. So if you present options for them, then they can read through and say, well, we like this feature, we didn't like this feature. And you can combine that to give them, what they need in a product.
Exactly. And Kalina must have looked at the slide deck because she segued perfectly into the problem solving. But that's exactly what we were talking about. I think it was Kalina that was talking about it. But that's exactly right, in the sense that how do we build up those problem solving skills where we don't just simply focus on it? Yes, ma'am.
Well, just go back to what you said a couple of slides ago when you talked about communication. You mentioned the person coming in and just walking in somebody else's shoes. Don't be too eager to jump to a solution. Just watch what they do, learn the business, see what's there. If you're an IT kind of focused brain, you make your notes, but then you'll see, okay, this is really time consuming. There's got to be a way to speed this part up, but understand the stuff that they have to deal with, because we are government. Right. And there's a lot of times when there's just red tape and stupidity kind of built into
Yeah,
stuff.
it is, right?
But you gotta deal with
You
it,
have to
and
deal
even
with it.
though it may be totally inefficient, and something, oh, this doesn't make sense to do, we can't do that, we have to listen to that business unit and understand that that's just a cost of them doing business, and we have to account for that in any solution we propose.
Right. Sometimes in government, especially in government IT, I think we tell ourselves a story so much that we really are not sympathetic to the resource constraints of other departments. We always say, oh my God, we're so resource strapped, and we can't do this. And if you begin to tell yourself that story long enough, you're starting to believe it. So I like to change that into, okay, well, let's not talk about what we can't do, let's talk about what we can do, and then build on that. And that's one of the things, sometimes we have to be very sympathetic in that positive attitude, and also in our problem solving. We have to be very sympathetic in making sure that we understand the constraints of the department that we are rolling things out for. You know, like in Granicus, we were working with the clerk, who is just definitely afraid of technology. So any little thing that, and this is the interesting thing, is that she has the ear of the city manager. Okay? So that's a bad combination, really. But Melissa managed that very well in the sense that she could take, you know, the clerk could take something that is really simple and small, but if you're complaining enough to the city manager, you know, he's tired of hearing it. So now all of a sudden, he's not making it a big deal, but when it comes to the city manager, it's a big deal, right? I mean, it is what it is. So sometimes we have to educate and build that base, so we spend a lot of time educating the end user before we can even roll out the product. And it wasn't so much, it was education and helping her reduce the fear that if I touch this device, if I touch the wrong key, it's not going to blow up. Making sure that she was comfortable with the process, trying to template a lot of things so that it just became, okay, we're not going to have, you know, in government, everybody likes to think that they're so unique that they have to have just one thing that's slightly off to make it customized for this department, right? No, we can template some things and you have to fall within that template. And then you get that buy-in, and everybody has to use it, and then you'll figure out a way, after a while, when everybody begins to see that, okay, I'm not as unique as I think I am, then they'll start to use that template and move it forward. I know I saw a hand here, I think, yes, ma'am.
That's where we circle back to what we discussed earlier about talking in their language.
Right.
As long as you talk in their language, you know, though they don't know what they're suggesting technology-wise, they will be able to make the connection to see that, yeah, this is the feature I'm looking for. I don't care which technology you're providing.
Exactly. Becomes technology agnostic. Absolutely, exactly. And she's talking about that circling back to this.
There's also the meetings when we don't work together too. In the meetings that we have when we bring all the agencies in, it's also brainstorming too. So one agencies may come up with what they're wanting to do, but by them getting input from the others in the room, it's like, okay, and sometimes we don't even step in as IT because as a group, they're gonna work out, okay, well, this is what you're asking for, maybe this one will get you there.
Exactly. So that's one of the things that we probably should add to this deck is brainstorming as it relates to problem solving. Because, you know, being able to learn from one another. And that's one of the things that we've asked our project managers as well as our CRMs to do is to help us, or help the customers bridge that gap. I'm also shifting some of that accountability back to the management team from a governance standpoint, so that when they begin, the DCMs begin to hear about some of these projects, you know, they can say, well, if this particular city works is, you know, has the ability to look at the assets and so forth in development services, and then I have my transit service over here, they're actually looking at work orders as well. Well, a work order is a work order, right? I don't necessarily have to have a transit work order system, you know, in order to do my work. I can potentially use this particular system as well. So we begin to think from an enterprise perspective. And when you have limited resources, obviously that's the thing that you need to do. So yes, that brainstorming is very important. Thanks for bringing that up.
In our county, we are.
What county is that?
In our county.
Okay.
They are starting up enterprise level, so that, you know, one department is using the technology already, trying to, ready to use it effectively rather than going for it permanently.
Yes, absolutely. That's the other hand. Now we'll move on. Customer service know-how. So one of the things, so yes, we're in the technology arena, but I like to say that we are in the customer service arena first, right? In my opinion, my humble opinion, the technology is the easy part. It's really the people that we are working with, that we have to deal with, and that we have to help move things along. Help them, help us move projects along. So I really like to say that we're all in the customer service field. If you're in the technology arena, you're in the customer service field, whether you're in networking, GIS, whatever, obviously, it's project management, CRM, yes, you know that. But it's some of what we would consider those highly technical areas of IT, database areas and so forth. And my database guy, he wrote the, was it 2 years ago, John wrote that budget portal. You all did that, we did a budget portal because he's the database guy. So we put a web front end on it. And we actually just now getting ready to get rid of it. We used it for 2 years with our budget book. I mean, we turned it around in a pretty quick time, like 2 or 3 months or so. So, but his approach, even though he's a technical guy, he understands the language. He understood that I've been preaching since I got there that it's all about the customer. It's all about the customer. That doesn't mean that we roll over and play dead. That doesn't mean that we necessarily going to give them everything they want. We have policies in place that we all have to adhere to. However, I want you to know that you're in a customer service position. I want you to be able to work your way to yes, to the customer. And like I said, sometimes that can be misinterpreted. Well, and I've been accused, if you will, well, Dwayne's just going to give the customer whatever they want anyway, so I'm just going to do it. And they do it begrudgingly. That's not what I'm saying. And if those individuals who come to me with documentation, and there's been multiple cases where that's happened, they come to me with documentation, and I'll say to the chief of police, the chief of fire, whoever I need to say that, have that conversation with, yes, we would like to help you in this way. We can't do it in this manner, but can we do this? What else works for you? Or what is your interest? But I recognize that we are in the customer service business. Those forward-facing, or what I call outward-facing departments that directly deal with the citizens, they have stressors as well, okay? And sometimes we're not sympathetic to those stressors. And to the degree that we can be better sympathetic to those stressors, I think it makes us a better customer service person. William, would you like to add anything to that? Being that her and Ulysses are the customer relationship management phase of the organization, so they do this is what they do this on a daily basis. So.
And of course, everyone, the phrase always goes, the customer's always right. Well, that can be the case, but we don't always have to say yes to the customer, and Dwayne told us that before. We just have to kind of phrase it away and give them another option to make them happy. We got to, we're a customer service organization. We got to please our customer, but there may be other options we can provide for the customer. We had several instances where we had to change a customer's mind or present another option to them. And if we pleased them, they were happy with it. We just got to make sure we communicate to them so they'll know what their options are, because a lot of times they don't know. We got to explain to them what their options are. They tell us what they want, and we can find other options to give it to them. So it's making the customer happy. Of course, the customer is always right. It's not really true, but we just have to try to phrase it for them, to make them happy.
Yeah, 2 more themes. Yes.
How do you, inevitably, there's always somebody in the IT department that does not buy into this mindset or this culture. So how do you manage that to make sure that you have that culture of positivity, that culture of yes, and that culture of customer friendliness, when in essence I'm cynical?
Right. Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Yeah.
We all have one in our,
Oh, yeah,
I say
absolutely.
we, like I have in the department.
I have several.
I'm saying that we all have one or two, maybe 3 individuals within our department that are very cynical and, we go at lunchtime, we work with the machine because we don't want to see them. When we do things that sabotage the customer friendliness that you as a CIO said that we're going to do, but I haven't quite gone into it. So how do you manage that? And how do you shift?
Yeah, that's a real good question, and it's challenging, and something that you do day by day, week by week, quarter by quarter, ultimately year by, month by, half year by half year, and year by year. And I say that to say it's ongoing, but what I found is that really in order for people to really take ownership of it, you have to model that behavior. So, I hopefully model it on a daily basis. My customers, my staff see me working with my peers in a paying organization kind of way, but also in a very customer service way. Even though I'm in charge of setting the strategic direction for the city, I can engage in different levels of activities, no matter what it is, especially if it's helping move a project forward from a customer service perspective. But to answer your question even more directly, for the team, I put it in the job results. So we have, six job results? 6 job results, and this year, one of those tenants is directly related to customer service. One of the job results is directly related to that. So now you're kind of putting teeth behind what you're saying you need to do. And typically, what gets measured, gets done. So I'm seeing a shift. We still have some people who haven't bought in, but I think it's becoming more and more real. So when you give them that feedback on the 6-month eval or quarterly eval, or just on a day-by-day basis or whatever, they see that, I am being measured by this. The other thing that I do, and I encourage all the managers and supervisors to do as well, is when I get an email from a customer that says, hey, Tracy did a good job, whatever the case may be, I'm very intentional about responding back to that customer, and it goes something like, thank you for taking the time to compliment Tracy on a job well done. Then I'm very specific about the thing that customer said that they did, so they know that I read it, and then I always will highlight, we take customer service very important to us in the IT arena, and I'm glad to see that Tracy is moving the customer service agenda forward. So 2 things I'm doing. I'm letting the team member know that customer service is important to me, to the organization, and I'm also setting the expectation for the customer that when they deal with IT, expect good customer service. Don't come in thinking that you're going to get bad customer service. Expect good customer service. So I'm setting the expectation for the customer, and I'm publicly thanking the team member, which should then, when people are thanked for something, that typically creates the opportunity. They typically say, okay, what can I do? Let me do more of that so that I can be publicly thanked again, right? So those are the 2 things that I do directly, or the 3 things: model the behavior, thank the employee, and then set the expectation by thanking the customer that said that as well.
In the medical field, physicians have to take a bedside manners or a soft skills test. We don't have to do that in IT. If we were, how many of us would pass? We have to think about that. So we don't have a soft skills test. We have to kind of develop those on our own sometimes, or, kind of hone those in. So I just want to mention that. They do have a test for the medical field. Physicians have to take a soft skills test.
And that may be something that, when we thought about this, that might be something that we come up with in our arena. And it is a soft skills test for IT employees. I mean, how many people think that would be beneficial when hiring, not just hiring a PM or a customer relationship manager, whatever the case may be, but in hiring a network engineer, and hiring a GIS manager, that understanding their soft skills, and if it's important to you, understanding the soft skills and being able to rate that and saying how well they're doing, I think that would be a pretty valuable tool to be able to look at. Yeah. We got about 10 minutes. The last one is leadership and mentoring, and I like the word. Maurice and Shannon did a presentation at the 10 o'clock that I attended that was very well done, that spoke about retaining employees. And you used the term for mentoring was individualized consideration? I had never heard it framed that way, but I like that. I said, I want to remember that. It was individualized consideration as it relates to mentoring. And one of the things that we do or typically don't do, is that fear of developing people along the way. And it's like, well, how do you grow? Like if I aspire to be, I don't know, let's say if I aspire to be a deputy city manager, if I don't grow someone in the organization to at least be able to take on the CIO duties, how do I ever get that confidence from my city manager or whoever to grow into this particular role? Yes, there are things that I can do along the way, but I need to show the ability to mentor people and grow people as well, because that's some of what you need to be doing in that kind of role. So whatever role that you aspire to be, you need to kind of tailor your mentorship, your mentoring opportunities in that manner. And that, obviously that shows leadership as well. So I think, again, from a professional, not being able to commit, keeping you from committing professional suicide, is always being able to, being willing, I should say, to take on those mentorship opportunities, take on those opportunities that get you outside of the norm. Like, you're an IT department. People are going to think, when they think of you or think of us, they're going to think of us as it relates to, okay, what are you guys going to do about Wi-Fi? Or what about the Windows 10 rollout? Are you going to move to Office? When are we going to move to Office 2013? Whatever. That's what they think about. Change the dynamic. So they don't think of you just as an IT department, but as a leadership department. So for instance, one of the things we did, was it about two or 3 weeks ago, it was, when we did the hot dogs and customer service week. So we have walking teams in the city now. So one of the things that we did, the entire department did actually, we did a lot of activities for the week, a lot of them internal, but we wanted to show leadership in one or two ways. Two things that we did, I think that to me were very telling, and I've received a lot of positive feedback on from other directors and other departments as well as some other staff. I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday, we wrote thank you notes, so for our customers. So there's 2 notes. And obviously I had staff who's like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. I didn't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But what they found is that it was very therapeutic for them in writing those notes. And I only asked them to write 2, and we actually had to go out and buy more thank you notes because we had people who wrote, like 5 or 6 because they said, oh my God, this is very, kind of therapeutic for me. So it was I only asked them to write one internal, just thanking one of your internal customers. So if you were in network services and you want to thank someone in PM, you do that. If you're in project management, you want to thank somebody in network services, whatever the case may be, you would do that. And then thank an external customer as well. And they said that they found that very therapeutic. Well, also, not only that shows leadership, but that shows that you have the ability to build a relationship. And that's really the key, is building a relationship. And that's what leadership and mentoring is about, is building a relationship that is helping someone grow in a manner that is going to make them a better person, a better department, whatever the case may be. The other thing that we did, which was totally outside of anything IT related, is that on Friday we did this walking group. So at the end of the walking group, not necessarily that I know we did do energy bars too, right? So we did energy bars and some apples, I think. But we also grilled out hot dogs. There were beef hot dogs. Oh, yeah, we had the vegetables. We had coleslaw and the vegetables. But at the end of the walk, we had hot dogs, for anybody who wanted to partake, just to say, as a way to say thank you. And we had some energy bars. As a way to say thank you, again, for contributing to the overall positive culture of the city. So those are some of the things that we did just to show leadership in the organization. And those things really go a long way when you're asking for that manager to speak on your behalf to counsel about a project and things of that nature. It really goes a long way when you can step outside of the technology. Yes, you have to be technically skilled. You have to be technically sharp. You have to bring the projects in on time. You have to do the maintenance and so forth. But at the same time, you really need to show that leadership. That's how you're going to grow your organization. It's going to be much easier sell to get money for your projects and so forth. Because at the end of the day, it's just not that sexy when you talk about upgrading your storage environment or whatever the case would be, unless you can tie this into like a body cam initiative, something that they understand. So we have to speak that language, and I think if you take these tenets that we just talked about, I think it was 7 of them, and wrap them into your overall technical competence, I think you'll be able to build some positive relationships as well as not commit professional suicide and thus improve your IT bedside manner. Ms. Johnson, I thank you for your time and attention, very receptive, responsive, so thank you.